So the other day I was at work and I saw a little something by a lady named Candace Horbacz. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. And it was actually quite fascinating to me because she looked very familiar. I think of the intro to Kingdom Hearts 2, right? When I saw her, I thought a little bit like this. There was something about her that was quite familiar. Now, what was interesting, I didn't actually see her tweet first. I saw someone responding to her tweet, referring to something of the other about Chore play, something like that. And so, and so I'm looking at it, and I'm watching the video with Miss Candace, and I'm just like, why does she look so familiar to me? I was very curious. And I listened to what she has to say, and I disagree with her video, and it annoyed me greatly. But beyond being annoyed greatly by it, I remember I was looking at the comment section, and I saw someone mention the name Eva, and then it hit me. And I was like, wait a minute. Oh, she's Eva Lovia. And it's funny, it's interesting. Eva Lovia is a porn star, or at least she was. And I remember a couple of years ago, it's funny, it really was like a far off memory. I remember, I used to think that woman was just gorgeous. I used to think she was just absolutely beautiful at the time when I was a younger man. I thought that she just was just the creme de la creme, bro. I don't know what it was about Miss Candace back in the day that she just slayed my heart. Oh, but it was really funny to me because I saw multiple different comments of people dismissing what she had to say because she was, or at least once, a porn star. She was once, in porn, and I don't like that. I'm not very fond of it. I'm not fond of the lack of grace or forgiveness to women who have been in pornography, mostly because a lot of them are damaged people. To be quite honest with you, pornography I don't think would be classified as such, but I think colloquially we can say is a little antisocial. And as such as there's an understanding that if you engage in pornographic material from both sides, whether you are the creator or the individual who is viewing it, you are looked at as weird off, as if there's, something wrong with you. And it is quite interesting. It's quite vexing to me that be the case, but vexing to me that both sides are considered equally. Actually, no, one side's considered more of a problem, and that's the male. The females, not so much. It's only now, I won't even say recently, but now the visceral disdain for pornography, which is fascinating in its own way, which probably can be dissortated too, causes people on Twitter at least to just rage against the machine and just dismiss Candace altogether. And I don't like it. And I don't like it because there's no grace, there's no forgiveness, there's no opportunity. Much in the same way a felon doesn't get any opportunity. I guess that might kind of depend on the violent crime too, to be fair. But if you're like, what about debtor's prison of not being able to pay child support anyway? I think there's nuances to this stuff. I do. I don't want the video to get bogged down because I do want to actually talk to the main subject. But as an interesting preface, I didn't like that people disregarded what Candace was saying because she was in pornography at a period of time. But after I watched this video, I ended up getting recommended a couple of other stuff on YouTube from Candace. And I learned a couple of other things about her that will become important later in the video, because as it turns out, I do actually think that there is something interesting and critical to highlight about the fact that she was in pornography. I don't think she should be dismissed because she was in pornography. I think she needs to be challenged on this. As such, you guys will see. So, I'm going to play the clip that starts this whole thing from go. And it will be divided, or my response will be divided into two different sections, more or less. The first section will be a direct response to what Ms. Horbacz says here. The other half will be, well, you'll see what part 2 is. With that being said, Candace will indeed take us away.
You talk about something very interesting, which is all-day foreplay.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
It goes back to the responsive desire versus spontaneous. I'm sure you guys can walk in the kitchen and you see your lady and you're like, yes, like she's wearing sweatpants and you're just immediately ready to go. Women, a lot of us have very sensitive breaks, like the bird starts chirping, the garbage can
It's a man's
over.
worst nightmare. It's like a car drove past, that's it, it's over. It's like, why? What happened?
So women, in order to feel safe, it's all of these little touch points throughout the day. So what you think is her nagging, that sock on the floor, you not taking out the trash. If you said you were going to go get milk and you didn't, well, these in the modern era are versions of you not being reliable and not being a safe partner. So if you're not doing this, element of safety is out the door. Right now, you're creating a lot of stress for her. It's going to be impossible for her to relax and be present with you, which is required for her to have arousal. It's the intimate touch. She wants to know that you're connected and that you're invested throughout the day. So it's little grazes, little kisses, little like eye gazes. How many times can you walk by your partner and not even look at or acknowledge them? If she talks, you respond. You know, just ignore her. All of these little things now kind of equate safety in modern era. So you want to make sure that you're spending like the 2 seconds it takes to just like, yes, babe, I heard what you said. Yes, I'm going to take out the trash. Like, do all of these things. And you will be so grateful you did it because she will be relaxed and more receptive. So when the kids are in bed, everything is done and you're winding down, like she's in this place where she wants to engage with you.
Man, that's some fucking bullshit. Now, there's something in modern relationships between men and women that is peculiarly, is that even a word? That is very, very, very selfish. And that's what that is to me. I say this a lot, that men like women unto themselves. Men like women for what they are. And I think that this is pretty clear. The evidence is found in the fact that despite the grand lie, one of the great pretendings that men are just so sexually verbose, we just need so many bloody women of which to have sex with. You find that there are actually more phrases for men that focus in on one woman. There's not really any word, not realistically, that describes a promiscuous man. You have Captain Save a Hoe, trying to save a hoe or promiscuous woman. I would imagine he would really care about her if he's trying to be Captain Save a Hoe. Interesting. Simp, another one. I would imagine a man who invests more into a woman that does not invest into him. Well, it would be kind of tough to simp for multiple women if you're over-investing. Okay, so the implication would be the simp would want a woman. Okay. Being friend-zoned. Interesting. A man is, for a long period of time, friends with a woman. He doesn't have sex with her. He wants to, doesn't. Same thing with the simp, same thing with the Captain Save-A-Ho. But he's friend-zoned. And we then have the colloquialism, or at least more in the manosphere, of one-itis. When a man zeroes in and focuses on one woman per the one-itis. Portmanteau of, diseases, or the suffix of a disease, and one. You know what else we have? You know what else we have as a word that highlights a man's commitment to one woman? You know what that word is? That word is husband. It's very, very interesting to me that I can see the extent of which men just care about women. We can go a little bit further in this. The mere fact that men, generally speaking, have to make more money to give to women, and they will, with sincerity, then say that his money is my money, but my money is my money, means that the woman is a financial burden in principle to the man. As such, she does not desire to use their collective resources together, but she has the expectation to use his resources. Now, realistically, dual income houses, even if a man is spending more money, he is still being supported by a woman that also has a job. Realistically, of course. So to offer that grace, the expectation oftentimes does not meet reality. Interestingly enough, that reality can cause friction between a young man and a woman. Why? Because of the expectation. Fact remains, men are physically stronger than women. We are also selected for our ability to make the woman feel small and feel protected. Not actually protect them, but feel as though they are being protected. It's part of the reason why, for black women particularly, they are very fond of ain't shit niggas who happen to be muscular and handsome, because it makes them feel protected. Of course, what a lot of women don't recognize is that all of those different aesthetic external traits of him being strong and perhaps his personality of being aggressive doesn't actually mean that he'll utilize it for your protection, but we'll table that for another discussion. Fact remains that if this be the case, that women select you, young male, to be a protector, you are burdened with making sure that she is safe. And what comes with that might be just mental anxiety, if not physically. You have to engage in hand-to-hand combat with someone else or shoot them in the case of a home invasion. As such, as a male to having a woman, there's a lot of a burden placed upon you. There's a lot of you doing something for her. You can go even deeper, just dating. Writing poetry was something I was told. It was something that women liked. Holding the door open for them, right? Letting them go before you, right? Giving your coat to them when they're cold. You face the cold of the winter air, and you give her your coat so she is more comfortable. You take on that burden of the elements. You put your coat on the ground so she can walk over it. Not old English gentlemanly nonsense, which to me is like, yo, you got me messed up. You think I'm gonna just put my shit in a wet puddle and get pneumonia? Nah, foolishness. Walking on the outside of the street because, I guess if a car comes out of nowhere, you're the one that's supposed to get hit as you push her out the way. I don't even know why that's a gentlemanly standard. The point is that as a man, one who is expected to bear a woman's emotional weight and bear the stresses of dealing with a woman, there's a lot of a burden placed upon you to simply earn her favor just on the front end. I say everything I say because what Candace has lamented, and you guys thought I lost the path. I didn't go off the beaten path. This is all important as I'm framing it. What Candace then says is even after all of that, you still must continue to perform, because that woman does not want to have sex with you. She only wants to reward what you've done if you make her feel, as Candace says, safe, comfortable, and it's the only way she's able to relax. She cannot have sex with you because she appreciates everything you did on the front end. She can't have sex with you because she appreciates the fact that throughout the day, maybe you're filled with stress, maybe you're upset about something, maybe you just want to be close and intimate with her. She can't simply have sex with you because the act of sex itself is pleasurable. In fact, I would even go so far as to say, as most people, we don't intelligently discuss sex. Is it our puritanical culture? Who knows? Is it the fact that we are afraid to be labeled as perverts? Who knows? But I will take a crack at intelligently describing something. So allow me the grace that I say this and I bring this to your attention for you to think critically, not to be perverted. But even the act of sex between a male and a female is still overwhelmingly, not always, but for the most part, a man exerting himself through thrusts into a female. Even the act of having sex itself is something that is, I wouldn't say burdensome, but more of a physical exertion from the male to the female. And yet, despite the fact that there is more of a physical exertion more effort done, not only just to obtain the sex, but to perform the activity itself, more and more is still asked and added to just get the woman into the mindset to participate in the behavior and the activity. There is this one comedy bit I'll find and show you of a woman confirming what I've just laid out here. Obviously she's joking, but she makes an astute point, I would like to say.
The doggy style position. Again, I'm a comic, my mind works just a little bit different, and I've been saying this for years. You have to be mindful of what the other person is going. So I'm sitting there and I say, I wonder what it's like for men in this position. I kid you not. I'm on my knees in the bed, upright. I literally just start like humping, right? I'm just humping. I'm humping, hear me out. I'm humping, right? When I tell you I did this for 30 seconds, every part of my fucking body was on fire. I didn't even know y'all had to put so much in. Right here hurt. I didn't know y'all used this. Y'all use this?
You know, the problem here is, that I'm highlighting, is not that women are not worth the effort. Some of them are. Let's just, to be fair, I do believe some of them aren't. But there is something important about male and female relationships that are the lifeblood, the red blood cells, so to speak, of a healthy society. And it is very, very sad that so much must be done from the male point of view. As Candace puts in her video, Candace says men were instantly ready to go, but she never stops and thinks about the why. Women need to be courted even within their marriage with, as the people on Twitter call it, chore play. Candace says that that is because the woman needs to feel safe in her marriage. So when you do your little misgivings, you are unreliable. And it is because you are unreliable that she starts to break down. She doesn't feel safe and cannot be open and vulnerable and have sex with you. As such, I must ask, my friend, just between you and me, just between us gals, how does a woman feel safe and comfortable with a perfect stranger at a nightclub? How does a woman feel safe meeting a guy off of Tinder? I see lots of ladies lament that they don't feel safe being with men, and yet somehow they still have a story of hooking up with some guy on a one-night stand. They're so not safe that they have to send their location to their friends, and yet they still find themselves stark naked in the bed of a stranger after you shared a couple of drinks with them. I do wonder. As a husband, you're supposed to perform chore play throughout the day to make her feel safe and reliable, but for some particular reason, for some reason that is just lost to me, perhaps you could educate me, Miss Horbacz, women, not all of them of course, but very many of them can find themselves having sex within a week with, again, a man they don't know very well. I must ask, how is it possible for that to happen if a wife requires such safety, if a wife requires such care, such attentiveness? How could a story of such ever occur if it is a requirement to female sexuality that a man be so consistent, so reliable, so ready to serve? You see, we have two problems here. Problem one is that women are treating sex like a tool. They're treating sex like a reward, like it's something to be dispensed only because you performed correctly. You did what I wanted you to do. That's from the front end, and according to Candace here, is also on the back end. The front end of dating and relationship to get married, you must prove yourself worthy. After you have proven yourself worthy, you must still continue to prove yourself worthy through service to her. Happy wife, happy life, anyone? What we have is a standard where we make it so that men must continue to perform to be rewarded. Men are not allowed to have sex with women unto themselves because sex is wonderful to the both of them, because God forbid it be mutually beneficial unto itself. God forbid a woman just enjoy the man that she selected. God forbid the woman appreciate the man she selected. God forbid the woman take responsibility for the man that she selected. The man that she made vow to never be with another person ever bloody again. Because if the marriage is done correctly, he is the last person that she will ever have sex with. If the marriage is done correctly, he is the last person she will ever have sex with. I might have said the same thing over. But essentially what I'm saying is, this is the last person you'll ever be with. You can't be with anyone else if you do the marriage correctly. And so I must ask, why would you make it hard for yourself? Is it not interesting that a woman can just stop having sex with her husband at all? It's interesting that any partner could do that, males included, by the way. But it's interesting to me, that we do not frame a marriage as a safe environment for the two people of which to be able to consistently have nice and free sex with one another, but as a proving ground consistently for the male. Perhaps it's a bit dramatic, but it begs an interesting question. It begs the interesting question. And the interesting question is, Miss Eva Lovia, when you were a pornographic performer, you were married to your husband. And somehow you were able to have sex on camera with men that weren't him. I have to ask you an interesting question. Did they wash a single dish before they had sex with you? Did they kiss you lovingly one time? Did they vacuum the floor as such to reduce your household labor? Or did they say, hey, hello, my name is J-Mac, shook your hand, disrobed, and you were able to film the scene? Because that's part two. Yeah, you guys thought I was going to defend Candace. No. What I'm saying is, I know how to use rhetoric correctly and to never, ever, ever dismiss someone, but take their points as they are. That's the lesson for anyone else on the internet. But back to you, Candace. The truth is, what you framed out is bullshit. It's not true. It's not true that women require to feel safe in order to have sex and be vulnerable. Some women might, sure. Some women might be traumatized. Some women might be neurotic. Some women might have a hang up here or there. But generally speaking, considering that there's a lot of women who will have sex with men that they do not know very well, and there are very many women that will have sex even when they're upset, make up sex, so to speak. And there are women that have all these different stories of toxic men that they've been in relationships with. Safety and reliability is not included in any of the bloody nonsense they are speaking of. Perhaps there's a world where that was the case. I would submit to the course that that is entirely possible. But is that how people are operating currently? No. And there is something extremely disrespectful about the idea that someone prior to an individual who vowed to be with you forever could have you for less. But the person who vowed to be with you forever must continue to prove themselves over and over and over again, especially in the face of the fact that it's not true that you require that. With Eva, or Candace rather, I'll use her actual name, in particular, again, you're having sex with other film stars. And you could say that it's just work, it's just your job, and it's easy to do so because you're just pretending and blah blah this and blah 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 and blah blah. But what that would mean is that you have the capacity to have sex independent of all these emotions and feelings. As such, why can't you do that with your husband? Why couldn't a young lady, why couldn't a woman do that with the man that she chose to be with? Now again, this applies vice versa. We're just here to respond to Candace. This applies vice versa. So do not come to me, well, if you're a husband and he doesn't have such a wife, it's foolishness either way. Just to be clear. Like, I'm just to be clear, it's bullshit either way. It's disrespectful either way to an individual that you asked to stop having sex with other people forever. And then you pull back on them. And then you set up a bunch of barriers and standards in front of them. Now, if the person's abusive, do not be foolish. You know good and goddamn well I don't want a motherfucker to be in an abusive relationship. So please, give me the respect that I am not asking for toxic bitch-ass niggas to be able to continue to have sex with their wives. Now that I have stated it clearly, I am not advocating for toxic bitch-ass niggas who cheat on their wives to be able to continue to have sex with them. Now that I've stated that clearly, let's actually focus in on the fact that men who want to be good and open and emotionally vulnerable and intimate with their wives probably should not be told some bullshit that the reason why their wife doesn't want to have sex with them is because she has to do too many household chores. It's not right. And it's not even fair. It's not even reasonable. I remember this one lady, I have to refind her channel. She was absolutely excellent individual, made a great point. I can't believe I forgot her name. But she made one of the greatest points ever, and she says, in response to a woman who wrote a letter into her, that sex is an opportunity for you to decompress too. It's not just something that he's doing. It's not just a reward for him. It's an experience for both of you. It's ridiculous to set up all of these different standards and barriers to an individual that you've made vow to be with you forever. It's not a question of whether or not you should be forced to have sex with someone or obligated to have sex with them, although I would say technically you are obligated per the vow you made and vice versa. It's a question of why would you, as a woman, ever want to put barriers in between you and your husband? I would submit to the court that you probably never liked the motherfucker to begin with. There are very many stories of ladies who, after their spirit have been broken, after their watch is ended, after the pain and misery of dealing with too many fuckboys, too many close encounters with the Chad kind, they finally, with a broken, weary spirit, rest with a man who is good and who is reliable and who is kind. And then they disrespect him by giving the best willingness and eagerness of their sexuality to men that they will then on the back end say, we're not worthy of it. But they still received it. But your husband, the man that loves you, the man who vowed to be with you, he's got to sit there and watch you film with other men? Because with Candace in particular, we know sex can be used as a commodity. We know that sex is not the reward to J-Mac cleaning some dishes, wax on, waxing off her car. We know that you can be, to be frank, a prostitute with your sexuality, both virtually and physically. And in the case of Candace, we know physically that's possible. If we know that you can do it, why would you sell us this bullshit that it is a requirement for a husband to have sex with his wife, but doing all these little things to make her feel safe? Are you telling me you felt safe on set with all of those cameras? Perhaps you did. All those cameras might have made you safe. And the manager might have made you safe. And the male talent might have made you safe. But the problem with female sexuality that we really need to get across is that unfortunately, a lot of women tether their ability to have sex with men as a tool of either manipulation or reward or persuasion. And it just hurts everybody. As a young lady, I'm going to be honest with you, man. If you're having sex with your husband, he's having sex with you. The two of you, more than anyone else, should be concerned with, caring for, and make it easy for you to be together. To be honest with you, I understand marriages can have friction, difficulties, annoyances. I get that. But there's a really huge problem here when the person is trying and trying and trying, and you keep setting up barriers for them. You cannot tell me that you love this person if you keep making it hard for them to be intimate with you. That's something you have to address earnestly and sincerely. I'll never forget this Reddit post I read. I don't know, maybe a year ago. But this man wrote in on r/marriage and he said, I'm trying and I'm trying and I'm trying. And my wife said that she doesn't want to have sex because of the kids. They're too much pressure on her. And the dishes are too much, and she needs me to help her out with the chores. And I got a less. He actually ended up changing his job, getting a job with less hours. I gave him less money, so he could help his wife more because that's what she said she needed. And his wife got upset with him because they were making less money now. They had to downsize. And despite all that, she still didn't have sex with him. So my question is, when are we going to do something different? When are we going to give a husband and a wife, just to show you I'm gender neutral, the respect and the consideration and the kindness that you are the last person that I could ever be with. And so I will not make this shit hard for you. I will not make it hard to be intimate. At what fucking point are we going to get past this dumb shit? You guys tell me. Because with that being said, I sure hope you guys got something out of today's video. And if you did, I don't know, man, go ahead and click the like button. And shoot, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I will see you cool cats soon.